Throughout history, philosophers and psychologists have tried to understand one of humanity's oldest questions. What is happiness? For some, it lies in wealth. For others, in the warmth of family. And for a few, in the freedom to live life on their own terms. There is no single formula for happiness, because the real question is not what happiness is, but where we seek it. Is happiness simply the absence of pain? Or are pain and joy two inseparable pieces of the same puzzle? To explore this, we turn to one of the greatest thinkers of the Hellenistic era, Epicurus, a philosopher who dedicated his life to understanding the nature of happiness. Epicurus was born in 341 BCE on the Greek island of Samos. From a young age, he studied the ideas of Plato and the atomists, but he was never fully satisfied with what he learned. In his late 20s, he began to form his own philosophy, a way of life aimed at achieving peace of mind and genuine happiness. He wrote over 300 works, most of which were lost to time. Yet, from the fragments that survived, and from the accounts of his followers, we can still grasp the essence of his philosophy, a simple yet profound path to a joyful life. To understand the Epicureans, imagine a garden, because that's where they gathered. A quiet, green space in Athens known simply as the Garden. On its gate was written, "Stranger, here you will do well to tarry. Here our highest good is pleasure." This message was often misunderstood. Many assumed Epicurus promoted a life of indulgence, endless feasting, drinking, and sensuality. Rumors spread that his followers lived in luxury and excess. But in truth, Epicurus led a remarkably simple life. He preferred water over wine and dined on nothing more than bread, vegetables, and olives. Once he even wrote to a friend saying, "Send me a little cheese, so that when I wish, I may have a feast." His philosophy was not about more pleasure, but about understanding which pleasures truly matter. He taught that happiness arises from satisfying our basic needs, and then nurturing three essential elements of life: friendship, freedom, and reflection. For Epicurus, friendship was sacred. When he returned to Athens, he bought a small house in the quiet suburb of Melite, where he lived with close companions. They shared food, conversation, and philosophy, building a community based on trust, equality, and joy. Why was friendship so vital? Because among true friends, we don't need to pretend. We can show our flaws without fear of rejection. Friends remind us that we belong, not because of wealth or status, but because of who we are. In Epicurus's words, a few true friends are worth more than all the riches of the world. The second pillar was freedom. Epicurus and his companions rejected the exhausting demands of Athenian society. They refused to serve people they disliked or chase endless wealth. Instead, they lived simply, growing their own food in the garden, sharing what they had, and valuing time over money. They believed real freedom comes not from owning more, but from needing less. As Epicurus said, "Nothing is enough for the man to whom enough is too little." The third key to happiness was reflection, the ability to think deeply about life, fears, and challenges. In their garden, Epicurus and his friends discussed the great questions of existence: death, pain, desire, and the nature of the gods. Among these, death was the most misunderstood. Epicurus taught that fearing death is irrational, because when we are alive, death is not here, and when death comes, we are no longer here to feel it. "Death is nothing to us," he said. "When we exist, death is not present, and when death is present, we no longer exist." He also warned against the obsession with wealth. While money can buy comfort, it cannot buy happiness. True joy, he argued, depends on the quality of our desires, not their number. If we crave luxury, status, and endless consumption, our desires will never end, and neither will our dissatisfaction. He used a simple example. Eating an entire box of chocolates may give momentary pleasure, but soon it turns into discomfort. The same happens with excessive wealth and indulgence. Pleasure fades, and pain replaces it. Epicurus believed the happiest life is one where pain is minimized and the soul is at peace. A simple meal, a warm coat, a safe home, and the company of honest friends. These were the essentials of joy. To him, luxury was not evil, but unnecessary. You don't need gold cups or grand feasts to feel fulfilled. As long as you're not hungry, cold, or alone, life can be good, even beautiful. In the end, Epicurus left behind a message that still echoes today. If you have friends, freedom, and the ability to think clearly, you already possess everything you need to be happy. The rest, money, fame, and power, are just distractions from the quiet joy that comes when we finally learn to want less. Now, take a deep breath. If something you've heard today struck a chord, if even one line made you stop and think, don't just move on. Pause and share it. Tell us in the comments. Which part hit you the hardest? What emotion did it stir in you? Anger, hope, strength, clarity? Write it down. Because every time you put your feelings into words, you reprogram your mind just a little more. This is not just a channel. It's a movement of minds waking up together. Let's build that movement right here, right now. This is MindSnap, where your awakening begins.